Okay then, so for those that don't know, there is a game on desktop and mobile called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's the speed version of it, so it only has 3 monster zones, 3 spell and trap zones, the extra deck is cut in half, the life points is cut in half. They only have a main phase 2. You can play all this on your phone and on your desktop. Now, this video isn't sponsored or anything like that. This isn't to promote the game or anything. You'll notice no links or anything anywhere. But I wanted to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links today because I want to give props where props is due. And I want to talk about why I very specifically like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It might not necessarily be the reason that you think, but what I want to do is use this video as a discussion tool because I'm going to jump straight to the point. Later on, I'm going to be talking about basically a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links version 2. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links version 2. It's a completely separate thing, but it's basically a automated master rule Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that is hopefully going to be as popular as the just traditional one, but it's more in line with Duel Links. That's kind of where I want to end this video, and that's what I really want to talk about. But I want to quickly talk about what I really like about Duel Links. I will talk about some of the negatives when we get a bit further on, but I want to start by talking about what I think is my favourite thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And my favourite thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is the fact that I get to play a bunch of crappy decks. Yeah. But let me explain that a little bit more. I don't actually mean crappy. What I mean by crappy is decks you would never have played in your entire life had Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links not come along. And to me, this is the biggest selling point to Duel Links for me, because as someone who makes content on Yu-Gi-Oh! I create videos on different archetypes and stuff. Some of the archetypes I've had no experience to. I don't even know they exist sometimes until a new box comes out with Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and they've got these cards in them that I'm like, this is an archetype, and I look at them and they seem really interesting. For example, the Vendreads. The Vendreads, albeit they are quite a new archetype, I think, in the grand scheme of things, but I started playing with them on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I had a lot of fun with their playstyle. I thought it was really different. And then I noticed on a card called Vendread Origin, or Revendread Origin, whatever the ritual spell card's called, there was like, the artwork looked really interesting, and the more I looked at the other artworks and I read more about them, there was a whole story behind them. And I would never have known that had this archetype not been shown. And I don't know what Vendreads are like in the TCG, in Master Rule, but from a couple people that I've seen, they're not that competitive, so yeah. I tend to think of Yu-Gi-Oh! More so in competitive sort of vision rather than fun. I know a lot of people say you can make a deck out of anything, but I can only really have fun with decks if they do well. I don't really think there's a balance where you can have a competitive deck with all the fun things in, so yeah. But this is what I like about Duel Links. In the real world, when you have a new pack that comes out with a new archetype, people will look at it, people will speculate how they can build a deck together, and they'll make it, and I'm like, it's alright, but they won't take it to their competitive scenes because it's just not good enough. It's a fun archetype, but one that it just doesn't have enough to do with it. In Duel Links, it feels like these decks that got left by the wayside over the years, they're just like, now how can we make this competitive? Because the decks are smaller, they don't have to be so consistent all the time. They just need to be good enough. And I feel like that's what they do in Duel Links. And that's what I really like about it. Now let's think of an archetype that got left by the wayside in the past. Let's just go with something quite modern at the moment. Let's go with Fortune Ladies. Fortune Ladies, they were introduced in the anime and the manga. They made a couple cards of them. They looked okay. They played not amazing or anything like that. Fast forward to a little bit modern day. They do bring out a little bit more support, but it's just not enough to make the deck competitive. However, you throw that into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links format, and you have yourself a top-tier deck. And for me personally, I would never have experienced the playstyle of this deck had they not come to Duel Links. And I think that's really awesome. I mean, take a look at this. I've wrote down just a couple little decks that have been on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links that have somewhat been competitive, or have been competitive, and just like, when have they ever been in the TCG? Some of them might have, my knowledge isn't that great, but you've got things like Vampire deck, Dark Lord deck, Elemental Heroes, Cristrons, Flower Cardian, Fortune Ladies, Six Sams have been competitive, I'll give you that. Ancient Gears, Amazons, the Weevil Burn deck, Quacky Meru, Fur Hire. We've had all these different ones, and we've had loads more. If you go back to like the first sort of meta of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, I'm sure it was just like, was it a legendary fisherman deck or something like that? What was the first ever competitive deck in Duel Links? I don't know the answer to that one. I'd love for you guys to let me know in the comment section below. But that's what I like about Duel Links. It gives a second life to decks that you might not have thought about in a very long time, or perhaps people never even gave it the time of day. So that is my biggest plus with Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And I wanted to create this video mainly just to talk about that, of why I think Duel Links is really good. And it is really good. Does it have some problems? Yes, definitely. The reason why I talk about this is because I think that Konami, whoever creates the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links game, or whoever just wants to create something like this, I would really like a master rule version, a TCG version of this. Because I have a separate video planned for in the future about how I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is slowly becoming more of an automated card game. It feels more natural, for me personally, Yu-Gi-Oh! To be an automated game that you play with mouse and keyboard, because there's just so many mechanics, there's so many effects that you need to remember, so many effects that you need to keep track of, that the human mind, you tend to forget. I feel like you need a notepad, depending on what kind of deck you're playing nowadays, to remember the majority of things. Now, did that effect happen this turn? Have you used your card's ability in the graveyard? I know you've banished it. Wait, which card got sent to the graveyard first? But that's a whole other kettle of fish. But what I'm trying to say is, I would like a Master Rule Duel Links, basically. Because I know we have something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, which we have right here. Except the only problem with this is, it has a lot of flaws that could be solved if it was optimized a little bit more. Because, for example, the online on Legacy of the Duelist, it's non-existent really. There's no competitive scene on there, and if you want to create a good Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, it has to have that competitive aspect of it. The competitive aspect on that is there's a leaderboard where I think it's just like how many wins you have. And then we've got so many Japanese players that had this game so much earlier than everybody else that I have no incentive to play it online. So yeah, I do feel Legacy of the Duelist is not our automated game that we want. Plus it's not on PC as well, and you need it on PC. Phone would definitely be a big selling point, because I imagine a lot of people do play it on phone. So we definitely need this Master Rule Yu-Gi-Oh! On phone. But let's go back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I've just talked about my biggest pro of it. Let's talk about some other little things I like about it, and some of the things that I disliked that I hoped will get solved in the next iteration of the game. So of course, one of the negatives that can't really be helped is the fact that, just like in the real world TCG, if you're playing competitively, you're most likely playing the same decks 90% of the time, because there's normally about 4, 5, 6 competitive decks per season, I guess, of Yu-Gi-Oh! Before the new ones come out. And you're going to play them over and over again, and most likely they're going to be very, very similar, they're going to be highly optimized. And the problem with this in Duel Links over Master Rule Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the fact that in Duel Links, there is a lot less randomness. And what I mean by that is, in the big Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, because you have a 40 card deck minimum, you've got a lot more variables of how a duel can go, because not everyone's got the same starting hand every single time. In Duel Links, because you only have a 20 card deck, you tend to get the same plays going over and over again. Most of the time you'll see the same hand, and sometimes you'll play against an opponent that has had a similar deck, sometimes with the last duel you just played, and it'll be exactly the same over and over again. And this sort of leads to another problem with having a 20 card deck, and that is the fact that your combos, if you have a combo centered deck, you're going to be doing that combo over and over and over again, because they're so fast. And this isn't a huge issue, but it's just like, it does get tedious. If you're going up the grind to get to King of Games or anything like that. For example, if you're playing a Fortune Lady deck, you open up, okay, cool, I summon my Fortune Lady Light, I activate my Fortune Calling, I special summon my Fortune Lady Pass to the field, I activate my skill, boost the skill by 3, and then I reduce it down to 1, special summon my Every, set a card face down if I have one, end my turn. And that is typically your opening move every single time. And it can be a bit of a problem. And this is another little thing I'm not a massive fan of. You know the whole power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of thing? Well, what's happening now is, because we're getting closer and closer to modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, monsters are getting stronger. Base monsters, like you very rare you see 1700 attack monsters just sitting on the field nowadays. It's always like 3000, 2800, things like that. And because you've only got 4000 life points, a lot of OTKs tend to happen. And because there is no main phase 2, if say, for example, your opponent has a Shien on the field with face-down dual wield, sometimes you've got no counter to it because you don't have enough cards. You can't activate an MST. Not that that's in the game, a Cosmic Cyclone, for example, because it get negated, you need a second one. So it's just really hard to play around certain decks sometimes. And I could talk about how I really hate Lava Golem or Amazoness Swordswoman, but they've sort of been mellowed out by Weevil getting nerfed and stuff. But that's a whole other kettle of fish. I don't like burn decks very much. It's just, it's a thing, but we want different decks, so I guess it's fine. Let's go back to a little bit of a positive note on Duel Links. What I do like about them is that they have their own currency in the game, and it's a weird one because everybody is all against loot boxes and things like that nowadays. A random chance at something. That is what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been. I guess in the real world, you physically know you're going to get 6 cards out of a booster pack. It's random, but there's always a chance you get something good. So that's fine. At least you get a physical gift. In something automated, something online, something digital, you're paying for the chance of getting something. You are getting those cards, but you're not getting always the cards you want. And I'm always a bit funny. What I would really, really like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is an opportunity to just buy cards. Because, I don't know, that's how they make their money. I completely understand. People spend money to get the cards they want from these booster packs. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait sometimes weeks, sometimes a couple months just to accumulate all these free-to-play gems. And it can be tough for some people. I don't know how people can play competitively and be free-to-play. It's a struggle. But what I do like is the fact that there are free-to-play options. There are a couple decks you can make. I wrote a couple down. I think these are free-to-play decks. We've got Amazon, Fur Hire, Alien, Hazy, Aroma. Aroma was my personal choice. Cardian, and I guess Cyberdarks to a little bit of a degree, because what they do is they're always introducing something new into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. There's always some event going on where you can lock Sartorius, you can get Sartorius' cards, you can lock Yubel's cards. Those are all great things, and I would love to see that from Master Rule version as well. It'd be weird to have these two things going on at the same time though. You've got your Duel Links and then you've got your Master Links, whatever you want to call it. And just carrying on from the fact that I would like to buy cards. I wish, like at the end of the year or something, all of the previous structure decks that have come out, maybe not the most recent one, but everything else, you get a month opportunity to just buy individual cards from packs. I don't know how much they cost, like £3 for a ultra rare card. You can buy that free time. So it costs you £9 to get those 3 cards. I would literally just buy every single card I needed from all the other structure decks. From all the other packs. But I don't know. Maybe that would be a bit too broken. Maybe they wouldn't be making any money. People just wouldn't get new cards until the end of the year. But then people that do invest and go for chance, there's like a little bit there. I'd love to know what you guys think of that idea anyway in the comment section below. But another thing I don't really like, I might as well quickly mention, is the fact that the structure decks that come out, you can buy one with gems, but then the other 2 are locked behind a paywall. And that's something I'm not a massive fan of. The fact that they're locked behind paywall isn't necessarily the only problem. It's the fact that you can't get certain cards in there. And it doesn't look like you ever get an opportunity to get these again. I think they do gem days. No, they don't. They do reduced prices days. So, yeah. Now, you can imagine doing a Master Duel Links and you're locking whole decks behind a paywall kind of thing because you can't get the free sets of it. And they're going to cost more as well, because what does a structure deck cost in Duel Links? That's like 12, is it £12, £8, something like that? It's double the size, I guess, so it costs like £16, £24 for a deck. Is a digital Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck worth 24 real world pounds? I don't know. That's a big question. What was this video about again? Basically, the point I'm struggling to make is I do like Duel Links. It does have a couple problems, but overall, I think it's fantastic. It's really got me to play the game. I don't even want to know how many hours I've put into the game. All I know is it's a lot, but I am going to show it you now. But keep in mind, that hours is from me just leaving it idle sometimes while I'm editing videos and things, so don't cut me too deep. Plus, I stream it on Twitch, so don't hold that against me. So the question I want to pose to all of you, if they made a Master Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, Mastered Links, whatever you want to call it, it's on phone and it's on desktop, it is got a rank system just like in Duel Links, you earn cards in a similar way that you do in Duel Links. Maybe not in a similar way, maybe it's just a little bit more, I don't know, it's less open worldy, you know what I kind of mean. But maybe a little bit easy to get cards, maybe they're not as stingy with gems every now and then, and it's a bit easy to, you can buy individual cards, would be a much better thing. I would just like your suggestions on how you think they could implement this, how you think they could do this, a automated Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that would appeal to the masses. All I want from it is opportunities again to play decks that don't see so much love. Because what's the option here? If they bring out Master Rule, are they going to bring out all of the cards? I don't think that would be a very good idea. Do what they've done with Duel Links, bring out a little bit of each era of Yu-Gi-Oh! have Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the most recent Master Rule 4 or 5, whatever it is. So we've got Link monsters in the game, we've got Xyz monsters, Synchro monsters, Fusion monsters, Ritual monsters, and Effect monsters. They all come out at the same time, but you only bring out little bits and pieces of them slowly over time. So I don't want to see Trick Stars straight away. That can be something a little bit further down the line. You don't even have to bring out all of the Trick Star cards if you don't want to. As well, you could also play around with the ban forbidden list system that Duel Links has, where if you've got a semi-limited card, you can't have more than 2 of 2 semi-limited cards. Because that's an interesting thing. You can test that out with Master Rule Dueling as well. So yeah, you could do loads of funky stuff, and I think it'd be really interesting. But, guys, this was a random video. I don't actually have a script written down. I've just got a couple little notes. This has all been off key, you can probably tell yourself. But I'm sorry if I rambled a bit too much in this video. But the point of this is, I would just like to know your thoughts and theories on how Konami could implement a automated Yu-Gi-Oh! System for PC and desktop and mobile phones to see it be successful. What are the kind of things you would like to see based on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links as well? What would you like to see taken out of it or changed slightly? I'd love to know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I'm rambling as we speak right now. So guys, thank you all for watching. See you later. Goodbye, everyone.